and the coaches, this is what they look for. Their priority is winning season, obviously, beating Army and Air Force and winning the Commander in Chief's trophy, qualifying for a bowl game and pulling down the occasional win. So for me, that translates into a 7-5 or an 8-4 year, wins over Army and Air Force, and a bowl game from time to time. That will make me happy. So,
and then speaking of beating Army, I want to talk about that the history of that game. If you can tell us a little bit about, I think it's a natural rivalry, right? If there is ever going to be a natural rivalry. But when did that start? When did it become this kind of showcase event? Because I know these days, apologize if I don't, if I get this wrong, but I know recently it's the only college football game on that weekend. It's after the regular season is over, before bowl season. It's the only game in town that week. So when did it become this huge showcase event that's become a national event?
Right, and that's a good question too. So the series started in, like I said, 1890, and a quick funny story for you. Navy won the first couple of games, and apparently after one of the games, this admiral and this Army general got into this altercation. It got pretty bad because one of them, I think the admiral, challenged the Army general to a duel. So I'm going, oh my God, how bad could things be if they're starting to threaten to kill each other, But anyway, so the president, who was it at the time? Was it McKinley? He basically said, you guys aren't playing for, no, it was Teddy Roosevelt, because this is in the early 1900s, I think. He said, you guys aren't playing for a while. Okay. Just cool off and, take some time off. And then finally started back up again. But anyway, to answer your next question about when did it become this big kind of national thing, I'd have to say it was right about the time all of these, conferences started kind of coming together and, having their championship week and so forth, because for the longest time, the Army-Navy game was played the Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's what it was when I was growing up. Then they moved it back a week. So it was like the first week in December. And I think that what people saw was an opportunity to kind of showcase some of America's best athletes that you've never heard about. And again, kind of play up the whole patriotism angle and kind of dedicate one weekend to them where they're the only ones playing, which I think is pretty cool, because even if you've never had an interest in going to the Naval Academy or West Point or anything like that, to be able to watch that game. And I tell you, the thing that is really interesting and really kind of special is the trailer. The lead in to the game is like about a 3 or 4 minute trailer. And one of the best ones I ever heard was in 2019 when Navy played Army, and I believe they played in I don't know if they played them in the Meadowlands they played them in the Meadowlands that year. And they basically, the person who put that together took part of John F. Kennedy's speech that he made to the graduating class of 1961 or 2, I think it was, and just built an entire 3-minute trailer around it, showcasing the Army and Navy athletes. It's on YouTube. You should go look it up. It's really kind of inspiring.
Yeah, for sure.
But for, if nothing else, anybody who is just even remotely interested in Army or Navy, that's the game to watch. It really gives you an appreciation for the athletes and who they are. And I like it. I like the fact that they have their own game. I hope it stays that way. I realize that, there's never going to be a national championship at stake whenever these two teams are on the field, but who cares? There's more to college football than that sometimes. And I think that when you really look at college football in its purest form, where there's no shoe contracts on the line or anything like that, where people are playing for the person next to them, and that is it. After they hang up the spikes, they're off joining the Navy or the Marine Corps and doing their thing in the service, so it's pretty special.
Yeah. The rivalry, as a football junkie, as a, sports wannabe amateur historian, the pageantry around it is really cool. The, not stakes, because like you said, there's no national championship at stake or anything like that, but I love rivalry games, and we have a ton of them in college football, the Egg Bowl, the Iron Bowl, all these. And it feels like this one, of course, as the natural rivalry between the two service academies. And it's just, it seems so important that you could be 0-10 or 0-11, whatever it is. But if you win that game, then you can say, all right, well, we had a successful season because at least we beat Army, or at least we beat Navy, that sort of thing. And I do really like that it is on its own. It's a lot of fun to watch, again, for the history of it, the pageantry of it. And again, as a college football junkie, or a college football fan and a sports junkie, it's a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I want to talk about